So the spiritual notion of grace says, first and foremost, it's not something we acquire by what we do. It's not something we earn. It is a gift given to each and every one of us. Gift of a spiritual potential, the gift of being the expression of God. That is what each and every one of us is. So when we take this notion of grace, we're talking about something that has been freely given to us, a gift that is beyond any sense of price. And it is this gift that saves us in the sense that it moves us beyond our challenges. Since we've seen you all. You have a nice summer. Reverend Cindy sort of gave my message in abbreviated form. Thank you so much. It so fits with the lesson this morning. Many years ago, when my husband and I were pregnant for the first time, we were very excited about this little being that was going to come into our lives, and we kept referring to it, because we didn't know what the gender was at the time, as the baby, which was fine, but we kind of started talking about it and said, well, we'd like something a little more personal. What could we call it until we're ready to name this little being? And we started calling this yet-to-become child Grace. And, it just kind of seemed to fit. It was a grace-filled opportunity for us, to be sure. But then we found out that we were going to have a little girl, and we started looking at names and started trying to figure out what we wanted to call her. And we were using one of those little books, and we kept being attracted to names that ended in Aviana, Brianna, Ariana, and we finally settled on Aviana. And then we said, wow, what is this about? And we found out that Anna means grace. And Aviana, my daughter's name, means living grace. And, this little story came to me this week as I was preparing for Sunday, and I thought, wow, what an affirmation that was for this little being. Certainly, my deepest desire is that she and my son, who's not called Aviana, live in grace, that they be the living expression of grace. It's my desire for each and every one of you. And grace is such an interesting word. We have a secular understanding of it, and we have a more spiritual understanding of it. But I really want to acknowledge the image that Jennifer came up with for this Sunday. That swan, that sense of beauty and serenity, that kind of gentle elegance is kind of what we think of when we use the word grace. Or we might talk about the grace-filled movement of a dancer, right? But there's an essence to this that's about this tender quality, but also a sense of ongoing motion, a fluid notion of grace that's something about the flow of spirit. And so if we go and we look at the spiritual understanding of grace, we might turn to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 through 10. For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not the result of work, so that one may boast. For we are what he has made us, created in Christ Jesus for good works which God prepared beforehand so that we may walk in them. So the spiritual notion of grace says, first and foremost, it's not something we acquire by what we do. It's not something we earn. It is a gift given to each and every one of us. The gift of a spiritual potential, the gift of being the expression of God. That is what each and every one of us is. So when we take this notion of grace, we're talking about something that has been freely given to us, a gift that is beyond any sense of price. And it is this gift that saves us in the sense that it moves us beyond our challenges. It gives us the opportunities and the possibilities to rise above maybe some of our not so pleasant moments or not so grace-filled moments, right? And it allows us to live inside the ebb and flow of spirit. So first and foremost, if we're talking about living in grace, we're talking about immersing ourselves in that one presence, that one power. We're choosing to live inside the river of God, staying in the flow. And here's the thing. We know that God is always present, right? So grace is always present. Grace is right here, right now, with us, available to us, inviting us to live fully in this present moment, trusting the flow of God in our lives. And this is something we can talk about. But how do we really enter into that? How do we live inside the presence and power of Spirit? How do we make ourselves continuously receptive to grace? Spiritual practice is what is all about this. It's about connecting us with this. And it can be prayer and meditation. It can be forgiveness work. It can be walks in nature. It can be statement over and over and over again throughout the day. I am, I am, I am. Yes? And here's the interesting thing about this. To really enter into that place, as we read earlier in Ephesians, requires a great sense of humility. It requires a letting go, a sense of surrender. I'm reminded, is Courtney here today? Last week, she and the band did a beautiful rendition of not by might, not by power, but by thy Spirit, by thy Spirit. And it's so easy in our lives to kind of try and make stuff happen, to affirm it with great intensity. Anybody ever been there? But ultimately, the deepest form of prayer, the deepest essence of being in spirit is about letting go. It's about surrender. It's about allowing that grace to move through us. And what I can tell you, at least for me, my best moments have all been moments of surrender. They've all been a sense where I let go in some way. When I was a dancer, where the dance really reached its peak was in those moments where I could let go enough that the dance would dance me. I see people nodding. Any of us that have experienced creativity, and we're all creative beings, right? You can't force that to happen. You can't force a painting into existence or the beauty of a song to be sung. You have to allow it to come forth through you. You have to surrender to it, open to it, trust it. And my best moments have always been about that sense of letting go. My best talks happen when I'm not trying to make it happen, but allowing the voice of God to speak through me. And my most compassionate moments are when I can let go and see the incredible beauty in the person before me. So you might say that our best moments happen when we're out of control. You like that? If I had named this lesson "Out of Control," you probably wouldn't have shown up. but I think that we have to let go if we really want to live inside of grace. We have to let go if we really want the Spirit that is seeking expression in us to fully realize its possibility. And the truth is that experiencing the oneness of God is not enough. Experiencing God's grace is just the beginning. Ultimately, we are called to give that grace away. Ultimately, we are called, no matter what the circumstances, to extend grace to one another, to touch one another with kindness, compassion, to see the possibility in the other person, right? To forgive, to get beyond our preconceived ideas and our judgment, and to really enter the space where we experience the oneness with one another. And we all want that. I believe that deeply. We all want that. We all know the power and the incredible joy of being in that space. But it's not so easy, right? One of the wonderful things about doing Sunday lessons is you get to practice what you preach. So this week I'm thinking about grace and how to give grace to one another, and this email comes to me. It was an email that kind of triggered me a little bit. Now, I've learned not to respond to emails that trigger me. I mean, really, if we want everybody to remember our worst selves, respond to those triggered emails in the moment, right? So, pause, spiritual practice, good night's sleep. I get up the next morning and I read that same email, and it hits me differently. I see something in it that I didn't see before. Most of all, what I see is the humanity of the person in front of me or through the computer, right? And I can step away from my triggered moments and my judgments, and I can extend love. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't still need to go and have a conversation about this, but it allows me to enter that conversation from a different place, to extend grace. And really, all the work we have done recently on our core values, let me read a little bit of what we have said we're about. We're choosing to be loving, to practice unconditional positive regard for ourselves, for one another, for God. We are choosing to see the Christ in one another. We're choosing to serve one another with compassionate action. We're choosing, another core value, to be inclusive, to create a safe space that honors both the diversity and the uniqueness of every single person, to value the inherent worth of all beings as expressions of God. This is why we exist. This is what we have to extend to the world, to be grace-filled, to allow the Spirit of God to move through us and express through us at every single moment, irrespective of triggering emails or people's unskilled behavior. And when we do that, we're living in the I am space, and we are fully embracing who we are as divine beings. So my invitation to you this morning is to get out of control and to live the grace that you are. Namaste.
Get ready to get groovy. The annual fundraiser registration is open, and we invite you to join us for an evening of dynamite fun as we come together, reminisce about the most far-out decade, and imagine the possibilities of the future of Unity Church of the Hills. I will be your master of ceremonies, and together as one, we will enjoy an evening featuring uplifting music, featuring Matt, Roderick, Brian, Emma Jane, Rick Busby, and maybe yours truly. A live auction, food, drinks, dance, a selfie wall, and much, much more. For those of you that like to go above and beyond, or you've been waiting to break out those clothes that for some reason you haven't donated, there will be a couple prizes for grooviest 70s attire and most dynamite grooves. Registration is now open, so grab your 70s garb and get ready to move, groove, and dance the night away. Saturday, September 28th from 5 to 10. You can register in the foyer, it's foyer, at the registration table or online.
Please join Reverend Cynthia via Zoom for Deepening Understanding by Exploring Unity Together, a rich exploration of what unity means to you. Sharing ideas and experiences with each other can deepen our faith and build a deep connection with one another and with Spirit. Sunday, September 22nd at 6 p.m., register online for link. Our fall 2024 Path to Discovery class, a three-part series, will be Sunday, October 13th, 20th, and 27th. If you are interested in learning more about unity or the 5 principles or becoming a member of UCOH, plan to attend. Check the UCOH website for more information and to register. Childcare is available. Tired of digging through emails for important UCOH updates and information about meetings, classes, events, or workshops that you want to attend? You're in luck. We are implementing a new text service to keep you, our beloved UCOH family, informed. You can opt in by visiting the UCOH website or scan the QR code in the foyer. You can opt out at any time by replying "stop" to any text we send. Join Stuart Yaros for the Yoga Circle and Vegan Potluck. This meeting is designed for yogis on the spiritual path, offering a welcoming space for teachers, students, and those simply curious about yoga. See the UCOH website for more information and to register. There are lots more going on this week at UCOH. You can find more information in the foyer or on the UCOH website and calendar. Subscribe to receive the newsletter on the website or email front office at Unity Hills. Prayer chaplains. Every Sunday, we have prayer chaplains holding sacred space during the service. The chaplains are available to pray with you in the chapel immediately following the service. As you exit the sanctuary, go through the office area and turn right at Jesus. The chapel is straight ahead. If you are online, you can call Silent Unity to speak with a chaplain. The number is on your screen. Silent Unity chaplains are available anytime to pray with you. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.